Welcome back. My name is Christopher Heuser. This is Season 1, Episode 3. Today we'd like to talk about one famous thing I like to talk about is sports. Football is specific. NFL, pro football. Before we begin, these statistics is not based on real facts. These are my opinions. What could happen, what could turn into a real life thing. First, I'd like to thank you all you viewers for watching all this. Take your time to watch this. And I'd like to say I love you, God, and I love everybody out there who's willing to give their life to God. And here we begin. Pro football. First thing I'd like to say in the draft of this coming year, one thing that stand out to me the most was Mitch Trubisky going to Chicago Bears. In my opinion, Chicago didn't need a quarterback. They already had a quarterback. What they could have done is they could have traded somebody to get a quarterback. They could have got some money in the free agent this past year, or waited until this coming year and trade your starting quarterback. Chicago Bears should have picked either Jabril Peppers, Corey Davis, or Chris McCaffrey, because Bears need running back, they need defense, and they need running backs and wide receivers. They got my former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, Marquise Wheaton. Second thing I like to say, that with all the picks that the Browns got, Myles Garrett and Jabril Peppers in the first round, do you think that the Browns will get a shot in the playoffs? My prediction is it's going to be very hard in the AFC North, because you got the Steelers, who under Mike Tomlin, who's been a head coach in 2007, has never had a losing season. Either was 2012 or 2013 when Pittsburgh went 0-5, and everybody thought that year we was going to do horrible. We'll end up going 8-8. Under Mike Tomlin, we never had a losing season, because Art Rooney and Dan Rooney has a great organization for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best quarterbacks I have seen, besides Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Brett Favre. Ben Roethlisberger will be in the Hall of Fame one day, I know for sure. He passes Terry Bradshaw record with the most yards on his team. Another thing I like, also, it's going to be hard. If Cleveland does make it, it's going to be a wild card. I think their record is going to be a 9-7. They're going to fall 3-3 in their conference. They're going to lose twice to Pittsburgh, one to Baltimore, and they're going to beat Cincinnati twice. They're going to beat Cincinnati one by, say, 3 points. And the other one, they're going to beat Cincinnati in overtime by 7 points. The team that stands out to me this year, who did worse last season, who I think could be a playoff prospect in the AFC, I think the Buffalo Bills will get a shot in the playoffs this year. They did good in the draft. They picked players on the offseason, and they got a new head coach. I think they get a shot in the playoffs. The other team I think I see making the playoffs is the Tennessee Titans. Last year they did 9-7. They started off bad, but they ended up finishing strong. Marcus Mariota, if Marcus Mariota stays strong and their team is healthy, Tennessee Titans will no doubt get a playoff spot. Right now, before the season ever starts, my 6 teams in the AFC, the 4 conference teams, the number 1 seed is going to be New England. They're going to go 13-3. My second team, Pittsburgh Steelers, going 12-4. Third team, I think, in the I really honestly believe that Denver will get to the playoff this year, and I'm thinking they're going to win their conference with 11-5. Then the Indianapolis Colts going to go 10-6. And the two wild cards I see this year, the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills, I see. And the AFC Championship is going to be a rematch from last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers and New England Patriots. Now let's go to NFC. There's been a lot of stuff on the Dallas Cowboys, the news, just like ESPN, SportsCenter, PTI, Numbers Never Lie, and all the website with Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys is having issues off the field, domestic violence, weapons, shoplifting, and much more. What I think at the bottom of my heart, I'm just speaking out to my opinion. I do not think it was right for the Dallas Cowboys to release Lucky Whitehead. Just because he don't get enough playing time don't mean you have the right to release him. You got people on your team that domestic violence, armed robbery, gun violence, but yet you want to release the guy who's a shoplifter. He wasn't even there when that stuff happened, but yet you released him. Jerry Jones backed up somebody who I think did domestic violence. I'm not saying no names, but I think that Jerry Jones should not have done what he did. I think the Dallas Cowboys is not going to go what they did last year. They're not going to go 14-2. They're not. Let's talk about some news in the NFC. The team I see a turnaround season this year in the NFC. One team that did worse from last year to this year, who I think could be a playoff contender this year or coming season, which is the 2018-2019 season. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will have a decent season this year. I think they will. I think they might get a shot in playoffs wild card. Last year, 9-7 with Jameis Winston, Mike Evans. Tampa Bay, as long as Tampa Bay stays healthy, the quarterback stays healthy, I think Tampa Bay got a real shot. But they have to show it in their conference game, because you got Cam Newton, you got Kevin Benjamin, then you got Drew Brees, then you got Atlanta Falcons, the Super Bowl team, Atlanta Falcons. You got Matt Ryan, you got Julio Jones, you got the running back. The other team I see improving from last year to this year, could be a playoff contender. Either this year or next year, I see the Minnesota Vikings going to the playoffs in the next 2 years. Reason I say that, it's all up to Teddy Bridgewater. If he does not get hurt this year, and if they let him play, I think he is going to be one of the best comeback quarterbacks we have seen in the NFL. Minnesota started 5-0, then they dropped they dropped most of their games at the end of the season. The 6 teams I see going into the playoffs this year. The 4 conference winners. Number 1 seed, I see the Green Bay Packers as a number 1 seed. 12-4. I think the Packers got a real shot at becoming a number 1 team this year with a 12-4 record. Number 2, I see the Dallas Cowboys going 11-5. Number 3, I see the Atlanta Falcons going back to the playoffs with 11-5 record. The fourth team I see, I really honestly think Arizona will get a shot with a 10-6. In my 2 wild cards, it's going to be between 4 wild cards. It's going to be against Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Detroit Lions, or the New York Giants. Out of those 4 teams, I think the New York Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will get a wild card spot. In the NFC Championship, I see the Green Bay Packers again facing the Atlanta Falcons. A 2 rematch, the Atlanta Falcons and the Green Bay Packers versus Pittsburgh Steelers in New England. I really honestly think it's going to be a rematch in the Super Bowl. I honestly think that Pittsburgh this year has a chance to beat New England if they get to the AFC. If Ben Roethlisberger don't get hurt, and Tony Brown don't get hurt, Le'Veon Bell don't get hurt, if Martavis Bryant do not get suspended for no on or off issues, Pittsburgh has a shot to go to the Super Bowl since 2012. The last time they made it to the Super Bowl, they lost to the Green Bay Packers. 2012, or I think 2011 to 2012 was not a pretty sight for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every running back fumbled the ball twice. I've seen the whole game. Richard Mendenhall, Chris Rainey, Isaac Redman, Jonathan Wire, and Felix Jones all fumbled the ball twice. I think Pittsburgh does have a shot in going to the Super Bowl this year. In other news, let's talk about the NBA for a little while. It's hard right now that Kyrie Irving wants to leave Cleveland. Why would Kyrie Irving leave a championship contenders team? A team that makes it to the playoffs the last 3 years. Won 1, lost 2. Even though you may not beat Golden State in the finals, but you got an 85% chance to make it back to the finals every year with LeBron James. But I see where Kyrie Irving is coming from. Kyrie Irving wants his own team. He wants to shine. He wants to be his own man. He doesn't want somebody else to shine like LeBron James. Kyrie Irving, I think he'd be a good fit either at the Boston Celtics, at OKC, at Houston, or Los Angeles Clippers. Reason I say he could be a good shot at Boston Celtics, because Boston Celtics this year, I think they might get a chance to get into the finals. You got Kyrie Irving is playing with all bunch of young people. A lot of young people. Then you got Houston with Chris Paul and James Harden. Then you got LA Clippers. You got Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. But I think Kyrie Irving's best shot is to go to OKC with Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Can LeBron James and Kyrie Irving talk so they can stay? That's it for my segment tonight. This is Christopher Heuser signing off, saying so long. I'll see you next time here on Christopher Heuser Show, where we talk about anything, saying so long, and see you next time.